Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
How in the world is it Tuesday again? Wasn't it just Tuesday? It's time again to show me your nuts. My name's Stacy Braiuca, and I'm known as the Squirrel Wrangler because I guide humans to wrangle their inner squirrels of negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt so they can live in peace and joy. And this morning, it's time to show me your nuts. So we are wrapping up Resilience Month today. Do you feel more resilient? I see some folks in the chat. I see the Breakthrough Show Network is here because, that's where we're at. I see Teresa and I see Jessica, and now I feel like I'm in the weekly waffle. If you know, you know. And I'm sorry if you see me wiping my eyes because my eyes for some reason are watering today. So I'm not crying yet, but give me some time and that could happen. Because even if you're resilient, that doesn't mean that water doesn't come out of your eyes. So let's wrap this resiliency month with looking back at what we've done, because there's been a lot of information come out of this show into the universe this month. We've talked about bouncing forward. We talked about transforming procrastination, and we talked about celebrating wins. Today, we're going to talk about a complete framework for lifelong resilience. We're talking about a framework called the 4 Pillars Framework. And then we're also talking about a tool called snapshot journaling. And then we're going to have today at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, we are going to have a free workshop. And if you go to stacybraiuca.com/events, you can still sign up for that workshop. I will put the link in. Well, as soon as I find it, I will put the link on the screen. I thought I had it. Yes, I thought I had it there ready to go. So, stacybraiuca.com/events, you can sign up for that free workshop. Or somebody snuck it into sneaking it into the comments everywhere to where you can sign up directly for that specific event. So, a whole breakthrough. Oh, so apparently one of our sister shows rocked it with a whole breakthrough about the word resilience in Beyond 2D. And that made you drop the word completely. So the breakthrough about it made you say, just forget the word out of the dictionary. That is cool. So those of you who don't know about the Breakthrough Show Network, the Breakthrough Show Network is a, I know this may come out of my mouth wrong. Jessica can correct me in the commentary or otherwise, but it is a network of shows with similar missions, similar feels and hearts that kind of just in a way to help you get through life for lots of reasons. Breakthroughs about joy, things about using art and for joy and for healing. There's a great class going on with that's kind of backed with the Breakthrough Show Network right now on and the word I just lost the word. Neurographic drawing, that Teresa is leading an incredible class on that to help you bring forth things from your unconscious mind into healing by using a specific art technique, and it's amazing. Here's another. And yeah, so the boss, I'm gonna call her the boss, says it still blows my mind after all these years how much the shows intertwine without even talking about it. Yeah, you would think sometimes that we have like frequent meetings about what we're going to be talking about, and that doesn't happen. We talk to each other and we chat about things, but like even though Jessica has access and can see my show plans, she doesn't like communicate. She didn't go tell everybody, oh, Stacy's going to talk about this, so let's talk about this. We don't do that. But yet the word resilience came up in the Beyond 2D show. So hopefully she will drop a link to God and everybody here for the Beyond 2D episode that they talked about resilience, so we can cross reference our shows on the official. And yeah, nobody ever believes that we don't coordinate the shows officially, but what we do actually is the Breakthrough Show Network. When you are a part of the network, you're a part of the network because I think this is why Stacy's a part of the network, because my mission in Show Me Your Nuts is intertwined with the mission of the Breakthrough Show Network as a whole. And I think that we're all intertwined at a spiritual level, and we don't have to talk to each other in order to do those things. So Ollie said, agreeing on the neurographics, that it's powerful, and and telling Teresa, thank you. And I'll tell Ollie again, thank you for last week for coming on and hanging out with me for the show. Greatly appreciated. Let me see how I can get the show back off there, or the comments. Just because it's Tuesday morning does not mean words are going to come out of my mouth correctly, y'all. So let's get on with it a little bit. Let's do an energy check of which area of your life needs the most resiliency support today. And I'm going to say that mine needs support probably with colleagues and friends this week. I'm trying to get myself back in the flow after having been on an amazing trip north, which you guys have heard about, and get back in the flow of my weeks. I'm also in the midst of some business change that's going amazingly, but it's taking kind of a toll on my days. And so I probably am needing some support from my team. And I'm going to be asking for some support from my business team to help me keep everything going. I need me some more squirrels than just one. Just one squirrel can't get this done. So that's my personal one. Ollie says need accountability to get squirrel done. So Ollie needs some accountability. Jessica, am I taking it that you're needing joy? That's what you're needing, or that's what you have? And it may be both, probably. Henry Cameron's in the house. Henry Cameron's pronoun is love, and it's putting in love in the comments. So I'm not sure if you're needing, wanting, or giving love, and you probably all three, knowing you. Jessica's need we need to hold our Jessica up, you guys. We need to, like, everybody send her some spiritual love. She's got a lot going on. A lot going on. And she needs just held up to know that we're all here for her. She's got boy, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. There's just a lot going on around her, and it's just a lot for one human, I think. That's just all the way I'm going to describe what I know. Yeah, there we go. She described it, the perfect storm. And Teresa holding Jessica up with love. Everybody give Jessica a hug right now. Okay. I do that longer, but we got a show to do, y'all. So as you're watching today, I want you to this is kind of a preview to the workshop this afternoon at 2:00 Central. So I'm going to go through some information here in the show that we're going to go deeper on this afternoon. Oh, I've got to post this part. Care Bear hugs to Jessica from Teresa. That one, that's the way to give her the loves for sure. So today what we're talking about is a 4-pillar framework for building your resilience. So we built we talked about procrastination. We talked about transmuting that. We talked about the roots of it. We talked about having this framework and a foundation under you so that then you can grow. And all of the areas of our life need those foundations. And we need to work on our foundations with some consistency so that they, maintained. If you don't maintain your house, you're kind of, you could be jacked if you don't take care of the foundation and the if you don't make sure that the windows get sealed and the insulation's there, and you've got to take care of a house. So you've got to take care of the you similarly. You've got to make sure everything gets maintained or might not be running. And I'm sorry that my camera is moving me around here. So true resilience requires all 4 of these pillars to be strong and balanced. And the 4 pillars that we're talking about is physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual. Physical being anything about your body, anything physically. So it's kind of but it's also anything you put into your body, anything you do with your body, sleep, medications, food, water, remembering to put water in. We're like 80 or plus percent water. You got to remember to fill that up. Pillow, Ollie would be like sleeping. Ollie says, I heard that I said pillar and he heard pillow. So yes, but your body and nervous system, you need rest. So your body needs that. Mental and emotional is your thoughts and feelings. So I call this, you guys are distracting me in the comments. I'm gonna have to turn them off. Your thoughts and feelings. So psychological is not just how you feel, but it's also your thoughts. And I'm going to put your unconscious mind kind of in all of this, really. Your social pillar is yourself and those of the people who are close to you, but also, yes, it's the rest of society also, but really it's social and the people who hold you up. It's more of your close social connections. We'll talk this afternoon a little bit about where the rest of society lies in all of this. But spiritual is the fourth pillar, and that includes your purpose and meaning, but it's also, the way I define spiritual is a continuum between hope and hopelessness. And so it's, where are you at on that spectrum today, right? And the challenge we have daily and sometimes minute to minute is that, are those four pillars, if you picture them as a pie and you separate the pie into four sections, are they in balance with each other? You know, are the things you're putting in your body positive or negative? Are they impacting you in a positive or negative way? What's your health looking like? What's your mental, your thoughts and feelings? How's that balanced? Your social health, is that balanced? And finally, your spiritual on that continuum. Again, we're going to go into this in depth this afternoon, so I'm not going to go into that any deeper really at the moment. You got to come to the free workshop to get more. So we're going to talk about the first pillar, that physical resilience. So you want to think about this circle of four things in kind of an order, and they spiral up or spiral down. Is, you want to think about biology first, psychology second, social third, and then spiritual. Because if your body's not in action, in the right balance, you can't think about the other three. And you kind of have to work yourself around the wheel over and over. So that your physical resilience, your body is your first line of resilience defense. And we're gonna all right. I'm gonna give myself the distraction, because Jessica's just making me crack up. I'm going with the P's instead of the R. Pillows, pies, and perseverance. I am going to have to now write an article about pillows, pies, and perseverance. That's just all there is to it. Somebody remind me somehow that I got to write an article about that. Because that is cracking me up, and that's just nutty. So let's come back, everybody, to the physical resilience. One way to help yourself, your physical resilience, is to use a technique called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. When the stress hits, you ground yourself through your senses. So you think about physical, think about your 5 senses. And you go through those 5 senses with this technique. You look at 5 things you can see. Look around and name them. 4 things you can touch. Feel the textures, the temperatures, the shape, the sizes, the density, the weight. 4 things you can touch. 3 things you can hear. Notice the sounds that are close to you and the sounds that are farther away. We don't ever stop and listen to little bitty sounds. And if you do, if you're outside, there's amazing ones. But even inside in a house, you can hear really cool, little things. Like just now, I heard one of my hard drives do a little bloop, or you can hear your air conditioner go on if you're in the Midwest and it's hotter than whatever, like it is right now, or it has been. 2 things you can smell. Now, you may not be able to smell anything at the moment, but smell your remembered favorite scents, because you're grounded to some of those, and you can smell them if you close your eyes and remember smelling them. You can smell them again. Our brain is so powerful, you guys. It's I learned some stuff last week that blew my brain up, and I got a lot of information in there about my brain, or about it. And I was in a class last week, and Dr. Matt blew my brain up again. Finally, one thing you can taste. And if you don't have anything that you can taste right then, again, remember the taste of your favorite food. Or sip water mindfully because we need to get that water in, right? So this afternoon, we're going to do some practice on those things. 5 senses. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, your 5 senses. What that does is regulate your nervous system and create space for that resilience. So think about it like if you don't reboot your computer once in a while, it gets stuff here and there. Your browser history. If you don't clear your cache once in a while, your computer starts running slow. You've got to go through and maintain this computer the same way you maintained this one. And I'll tell you, one of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody shares their screen and it says restart required or it says update available and they haven't done it. And I've seen their computer for 3 weeks and they still haven't done it. And then they complain about things not working. You've got to maintain it, you guys. You've got to maintain that one. So I love this comment, Ollie. See, sense, sound, smell, sip, squirrel. Reclaiming inner sense in no sense. in no sense. Bring your mind into the presence. Ollie is our wordsmith. He can build words quicker than anybody I know. Jessica, regulate your nervous system today. And then Jessica has the amazing breakdown. 5 you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. And sometimes when you're online and you're in multiple certain platforms, you need to make sure that that online work is so refreshing. Just ask our friend Jamie Rich. And again, if you know, you know. Let's go on to pillar 2. Pillar 2 is mental emotional resilience. So that's this thing up here, or your heart. It's your thinking and your feeling. Your thoughts and feelings shape how you bounce, right? And for that, I'm just going to ask you some questions. That's what we're going to look at in that pillar. Is the key tools are thought reframing. So you think about the thought that you're having and how can you reframe that and change it to something different after you've asked it. Is the thought helping or is the thought hurting? So your thoughts helping or hurting. Emotional validation. What is this message? What is this emotion telling me? What message are you bringing me? What are you wanting me to know? And I'm going to stop on that one for a second because this is, again, something we don't take time to really stop and do. We're so fast-paced in society. The idea of when somebody has their feels come up, if they were to just be able to close their eyes and ask that feeling, why are you here? What are you telling me? Instead of just reacting to it and spewing and going at whoever brought the feeling up, or actually the feeling came up inside you for a reason because it's your feels. It's not somebody else's. But going in there and figuring out what is it, because if you stop and close your eyes and you ask the feel why it's there, 9 times out of 10, it's going to tell you why it's there. It may take a little bit of time. You may have to sit with it for a few minutes. But if you wait, the feel takes itself and goes and hides somewhere else in your unconscious mind. And it's going to come back later. And it's going to come back in a way you don't like it. It could come back as a physical health issue, because only 1% of our physical health is genetic. The other 99% is connected to those other things. That feel that you stuffed, it's going to come out and come up somewhere. And it could come out and come up as disease, or as what we call disease. We need like a whole series of shows to talk about that. But we need to think about the fact that all of our feelings are messengers. Future memory anchoring. Who am I becoming through this? So, who is it you're becoming because of all of this experience? We're here in this life to have an experience because we asked for it. We wanted to be here in this life to have an experience. And so, what is it that you're currently becoming? How is that attached to what you know of why you came here for the world, for the lesson? And at different points in our life, we know different things about that. I can sit here as somebody with, in chapter, I heard a friend the other day called it chapter 56. I am in version 5.6, and I am headed pretty rapidly towards, we're all headed rapidly. I'm headed towards version 5.7. 5.7 is going to be a kicker. I can tell already. There's some stuff happening, stuff afoot. But who is it you're becoming because of that? So the mental and emotional also, they work together. And actually all four of these pillars work together. We have 4 areas of our life, and those all work together and they all impact each other. So you can't think your way out of your feels. You can feel your way around and out of your feels, and around, and what you can think about your feels, but you can't think your way out of the feels. 2 different things. You can't think your way out of the feels, but you can think about the feels and work with them. I'm just going to tell you about a thing called the snapshot journaling technique. The snapshot journaling technique is a way to take these 4 pieces that we're talking about today and take a snapshot of them, and then you look for patterns later. If you are in the workshop this afternoon, you're going to be able to get not only the snapshot journaling tool for free, but you're also going to get a packet of information about these 4 pillars. So again, sign up at the link below. And if you are watching this on the replay, you can also look at the link below and see what new workshops are coming next. And you can also book a session with me, and we can go over that snapshot journaling technique. So before I do the 3rd pillar, and because I need water, I am going to do a quick network commercial while I drink a few sips of mindful water. Why don't you guys watch while we're watching and join me in sipping mindfully your waters?
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Everybody got their waters? All right, so our physical body's taken care of. Let's look at our social resilience and our social body. We are not, newsflash, we are not meant to bounce alone. We are meant to be in this life for joy. Speaking of shows on the Breakthrough Show Network, by the way, Project Joy. That's kind of how I got here, one way. If you look in the show, in that show's background, you'll see a show with a guest. I was a guest on that show without, in fact, I'm not quite sure how that happened. All of a sudden, I just heard, hey, by the way, meet me here Wednesday morning at whatever. And all of a sudden I was on the show. But then again, it doesn't take much anymore to get me to do something like that with the right timing. If I got something else on my calendar, you ain't getting it. But if I don't have anything on my calendar, I can be roped in most of the time. We're not meant to bounce alone. We're not meant to be in this life alone. We are meant to be able to hug each other when we each need it. We're meant to hold each other up. We're meant to interact with each other with our different minds and things so that we learn more things. You imagine if we were meant to be here alone, but everybody else was here, and we all thought the same way. That just gives me the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. But all of those things build social resilience. Social resilience is built in those connection moments, in those relationships, in that trust, in that learning, in that, even in ideas being different than each other, because it depends on how you go through examining the differences and how you treat each other in it. This is also why your physical self and your mental and emotional self have to be ready and strong to then deal with that spiritual or that social interaction between selves. Because if you don't feel good, if you've ever gotten into a fight with somebody just because your body feels bad, you feel like crap, and you get in a fight with somebody that you never would have gotten into, but you do it because you feel like crap that day. Or you mentally and emotionally, you're not in the right space, so you fly off the handle and you didn't mean to. You would never have done that with that person or in that situation. So again, these build on each other. We also need to look at the quality of our connections over the quantity. It's not about how many friends you have on Facebook. It's not about how many likes you have. It's not about how many shares. It's not about all that, you guys. It's not the Instagram thing. I remember years ago, even when I was working in research and I was working in the field teaching social work and public health, and we were talking about how teenagers were their building of self in their conception of self was literally based on that Instagram algorithm thing as opposed to anything else, and they were building these skewed views of self, and it was causing them to then harm themselves, become depressed, become lots of things. You can look up the research on that, it probably would have been from about somewhere between 2011 and 15. And I'm sure there's more now. And about lots of things. Life is not about those algorithms. It's about the algorithm of you and another person building a quality connection between the two of you, if by learning about each other, by examining, hey, I think this way about something. Well, wait a minute, I think this way. And you're like, well, what's that like? Or what does that mean? And coming together and building your own interwoven tapestry of whatever it is you're talking about. That's what that social resilience is. And as we build those fabrics in between each individual, it builds a fabric and a tapestry of society. And as I say tapestry, I think of my friend Peggy put an amazing article up on LinkedIn yesterday, or not an article, but a post that I saw as a tapestry, because she creates safe spaces for diverse people. And as one of the diverse people in her safe space, I felt that article or that post as I read it, and told her that that's, like a tapestry. And that's what I see as, that's what we have to build, a fabric of society, so that we can hold each other up. And because otherwise we're taking like scissors and knives to any kind of tapestry that's there, and then all we have are these loose threads everywhere. And those loose threads, that fabric is not going to hold up somebody who needs held up. It's not going to hold up anything else we need to do as a society together. And but I do think, then there's also things like quilts. So if you know, I'm getting ready, what I'm getting ready to show, cashew quilt squirrel. Because what quilts are pieces of fabric that have been cut up and then sewn back together with love into a basically into a form of tapestry. And all these little pieces in this quilt, and then the way that they're put together then forms that squirrel in the fabric. And I think the idea of quilting, the idea of sewing, the idea of crochet, any kind of art that brings pieces together into a beautiful whole, if you apply that to us as society. Yes, we have groups of us that have been cut off, and there's people who are, on one side of an issue and another side, and they're we've been polarized on purpose by different things. And this polarization that's having us farther and farther apart. But taking those fibers and those pieces and those things and weaving them back together into a more beautiful tapestry. So in that tapestry, in the fact that those are smaller pieces of fabric, but then they're put back together, they're woven small pieces of fabric woven together, that creates strength. Those vulnerable pieces of fabric have been woven together, and that creates strength. And as we weave ourselves back together, that creates our strength as a society. And I'm talking about a global society. When I say society, I'm talking about the world here. The other important part in social fabric and in social resilience is asking for help. It's probably one of the hardest things we do ever. We see it as weakness, but in fact, asking for help is being vulnerable but having strength. if the only strength you have at that moment is to ask for the help. You're using your strength to get through your vulnerability. And by asking someone else for help, you're weaving yourselves together to do the thing. So asking for help is truly vulnerability in practice. So the truth about the matter, isolation kills resilience, and connection creates resilience, creates strength. And then finally, I'm going to talk us in the fourth pillar. So you've got your body together, you've got your mind and your mental and emotional self together, you've got your social stuff together. And I'm talking in this thing is anything that touches the center of that pie is something you have some kind of control over. Again, come this afternoon, you'll hear a little more about how that snapshot journal actually works and how even deeper into these pieces, because these are the things you have control over. This isn't that you have some control over. So you have control over how you interact with other humans. So then the final piece is spiritual resilience. Now, do not misunderstand me. I am not talking about religion. You're not likely to hear me talk about religion in many ways, shapes, or forms in the sense of things because just because that's not a topic that needs to be talked about that way. You will hear me frequently talk about spirituality. Spirituality is to me is the individual underneath what some people call religion. Religion being groups of people who are believing and working on the same, who use the same spiritual framework for their spirituality. Whereas spirituality being an individual relationship, every person on this planet has some form of, some level of, some piece of spirituality, even if it's a teeny tiny thread. Even somebody who's an atheist has a spiritual thread of some sort. They just might not even be aware of it, or they may not have defined it. And everyone who's in religion does not have the exact same spiritual thread. So you will hear me talk about it in that regard, but I'm not here to debate religions in the sense. I'm here to say spirituality is our individual spiritual belief system, individual thing. Spirituality is about meaning and purpose and your connection to your spirit, to whatever you define as spirit, even. Your spiritual resilience includes your connection to something bigger, whatever you describe that as. And again, the way I describe spirituality is also that continuum between hope and hopelessness. Where are you at in that continuum at any given moment? And it changes. It changes every moment. It changes over our lifespan. The way we see it changes. The way we do it changes. The way we have it changes. And that doesn't make any one period of time or another period of time better or worse than the other. It just means it's different. It's about your personal values as your anchor to your spirit or your spiritual self or that thing bigger than yourself, no matter how you describe it. You could say creator, you say God, you say, sorry, I'm not coming up with, you say Allah, you say Buddha, maybe. I'm not as, whatever word you use to describe that thing larger than yourself. It may be source, it may be universe. And again, sometimes that changes through our life. But it's your connection to that larger thing. It's your personal values as how you are anchored into your conceptualization of your spiritual self and spiritual reality. Ali put us a good list here. Allah, Buddha, Mother Earth, Source, Divine, Universe, and Gaia. And of course, I'm not going to forget, I won't not say God. I know Christianity uses, and to me, all of those things are the same and they're different at the same time. Purpose. If you think about purpose, that whole being about meaning and purpose, think about it as our fuel. Think about this spirit, this being on that continuum from hope to hopelessness, and think about where you're at. Think about that as your fuel gauge of how much fuel you then put into, because then we're coming back around to the body again. As this doesn't stop just because you've gone through all 4 pieces. You come back around and you go into body again, and then you work your way around again and make sure everything's balanced and intact and maintained. And again, you can spiral up with that as you feel better, and you can also spiral down as you feel worse for whatever reasons. Think of that spiritual as Jessica, that gave me chills. Spirituality is the ultimate yes and I think there's lots of reasons for that. And I think the yes and between individuals when they're discussing their spiritualities, because there's 8.2 billion, you guys have heard me say this before, and I'm not going to stop saying it, 8.2 billion different types of spiritualities, and the only one I know is 8.2 billion minus 1. I only know the one. I don't know what those other 8.2 billion minus 1 are. And I will never be able to I'll never be able to fully conceptualize what those other 8.2 billion minus 1 are. None of us ever will. We're only able to conceptualize our own. And when you really embrace that thought and understand it fully, you can't not not understand it. So, think about it as your fuel for bouncing forward. So your spirituality fuels you into that bouncing forward, fuels your body, fuels your mental, emotional, fuels your social, and then you go back in for more fuel. So to get everybody ready for later today for our workshop, I want you to think about really quick. Think about each pillar and rate each pillar 1 through 10 for yourself. So where are you at in your physical self? 1 through 10, 10 being the highest. Where are you at? Where are you at in your spiritual self, or your mental, emotional self? And you can split that one in 2 and go where am I at with my thinking? Where am I at with my feeling? So you can put, 1 through 10 in each of those and then average it, or however you want to look at it. Where are you at in your social pillar? 1 through 10. And where are you at in your spiritual pillar? And then looking at how do you strengthen each pillar, your lowest pillar. However, when you do that, if your lowest pillar is spirituality, you may need to strengthen the other 3 first so that you can strengthen the spiritual one. You may need to strengthen your physical pillar and get some pillows, get your sleep to strengthen in order to strengthen your mental and emotional. You may need to strengthen your body first so that you can have the good mental and emotional. You may need to do those 2 first so that you can strengthen your social. You work on all three of those first so you can fill your spiritual cup, so that you can use that fuel to go back and keep going and do that again. So daily practice using one tool from each pillar, either one tool each day, or once you get good enough, you could do one tool in each pillar each day. But I would say start with where you're at. And if where you have to start is that biology and make sure it's solid first, you may only be looking at it for a period of time until you can get physically healthy enough to go to the mental, emotional, spirit, or social, and then spiritual. There's other ways that they interact with each other. Again, a feeling that gets stuck in your body, or a reaction to a social event, or, oh my gosh, my light source just went weird on me. Your something that happens in your mental and emotional body can easily impact your physical body and disease. Something that happens in your social pillar can impact you in disease. Something that happens in your spiritual pillar can impact you in disease. So they interact in other ways. Okay, so it's not as simple as I've presented it today, but we've got to look at it in a simplistic way in order to start, right? So, come to the event this afternoon. Come get your snapshot journal and your resilience framework packet this afternoon. So to wrap us up, key takeaways from today. Resilience requires all four pillars. Physical grounding helps you go to your next step. Using this snapshot journaling reveals patterns in all the areas. Forward bounding is holistic. You have to look at everything in order to bounce forward. Come join us this afternoon. Get your free 4 Pillars guide and snapshot journal. Next week, you guys, I am so excited for September. I can't stand it. One of the episodes for September is already recorded, and it is gonna be magical. It is so magical. New hashtags were born in that recording, and the people who are there are going to come back for others. But next week, I am hopefully going to have a special guest who I have been with on part of my quantum journey, and they're going to help us delve into start our journey into the quantum world. And when I say quantum, I don't just mean like things like quantum physics. I mean things like quantum linguistics. I mean quantum physics. I mean quantum mechanics. I mean quantum being those little things that are connected together. The fact that things like Einstein's spooky action at a distance. We're going to go all sorts of places next month, you guys. Come join us for Quantum Month. It's going to be epic. And I think that's about all, as nutty as I can get for today. Thank you for those who've been in the audience. You guys have kept me going. I know that there's things I missed in the commentary. And Jessica is correct. It is going to get rowdy. You have got to watch the show on 9/9 at 9 a.m. Central, because that one is rowdy, in a fun way. And we go deep in some stuff. So that's it for today. I am so blessed to have this audience. Oh, I'm so glad I watched the comments. Thank you, Jessica. New episodes of Beyond 2D is tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central, 4 Mountain, and 3 Pacific. And you never know. Oh, I was going to say, you never know what Beyond 2D, if they're following me, what they're talking about, but they're finishing up their Choices and Decisions series, which, funny enough, we were both talking about choices and decisions on the same day, one day. So that's been a series on Beyond 2D, and Ollie is correct. It is too delightful. It is double delightful. So I will see you guys next week to start Quantum Month. For those in the U.S. or anybody celebrating a holiday this weekend, have a safe and happy holiday. Do something for yourself, for your body. Do something for your mental and emotional space. Do something with those you love, and do something for your spiritual self. And I will see you next week to show you my nuts and watch for yours. See you then.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.